Welcome everyone, Simon here from the Whales of Wall Street. We have Verasity, VRA, on the exchange. Verasity is a great project in regards to its proof of view mechanism and its tech ad solution. Absolutely brilliant to see the development of this particular project since I've been holding it for a couple of years now. We will go into the chart as well. Before we go into the actual topic of this video, please do not forget to check out the other videos on the channel. A multitude of different topics, discussions, many different project assets. We're going to have a couple of new ones added this week as I have accumulated some new assets, and also from recommendations of a few people in the know. Guys, also don't forget please to smash that subscribe button if you have not done so already. We smashed through 7,500 subscribers this week. Absolutely brilliant. Thank you so much for the support towards the channel, of viewing and taking an interest in this space. It's absolutely brilliant to see. So guys, that's out of the way. Let's go into the topics. So first one and foremost, South Korea Intellectual Property Office grants full patent approval for proof of view by Verasity. Now Korea, or in general, the different domains around the world really have significant application opportunity for proof of view mechanisms. This is a very important point and topic when we're discussing things like advertising, and particularly as we move more and more into digital advertising as time goes by. Now, digital advertising isn't new. However, the more apparent things that are coming out more recently are things like fake views, bots, and potentially fraudulent money aspects in terms of like views not being accurate as possible, meaning that many companies are losing out on significant revenue opportunities. So there's been many great case studies by Verasity, even towards like the likes of Google, where they were anticipating, well in advance of hundreds of millions of dollars lost a year through not necessarily fake advertising as such. It's more about the fake viewerships and inaccurate information. So being part of a huge, I mean, South Korea obviously absolutely massive in general with regards to the crypto sphere, especially in gaming. It's a massively growing market with Web3 gaming for sure right now, and this does play into this factor as well, because of course proof of view, we have to also understand all the different mechanisms and areas that this could be utilized in. And I'm from a big gaming background myself, and particularly with recently Web3 blockchain gaming, which is where I work. This has been transitioned into things like branding and sponsorships and advertising through game streamings and stuff like this. But on the outside of that, you've also got digital advertising, and even to the point, guys, in the near future, when we have the retina displays kicking in and things like this, the glasses innovations that come further forwards for us to see things that we don't see with our own eyes. I'm talking about like XR, AR, augmented reality that we see through our phones, through our eyes in the near future. You will see different adverts compared to other people, and this will be based on algorithm in terms of like your behaviors, in terms of what you've been purchasing in your previous history, and what you're looking to do trend wise. So all of these things, if you see the story and the pattern moving forward, it's actually really interesting. But back to this point that this being quite a significant one really, because they have got a lot of patents around the world. But this South Korea Intellectual Property Office grants full patent approval. This is absolutely brilliant to see. This news in particular was from a few days ago. Since then, they have been attending this event here, which has been going on for a few days now, I believe, 22nd to 24th. So the last days are today and tomorrow. And we've seen actually some good price increases of Verasity over the last 24 hours. Now, I will reiterate this point again. Always try and look out for events of the projects that you are invested in. Look at the events that they're attending or networking within, or indeed have stands in, because most of the time, and this was proven even the other day in some of the energy conferences and things like this with some of like Power Ledger and Energy Web, for example, this is something that is very apparent. Conversations happen at these events, right? And you could come across investors, you could come across potential partners, and this news trickles out, or whatever it might be, or people hear things at these events and then they go and invest significant amounts. This is how it works. And particularly with an event like this, just to reiterate, the different kind of people that were coming just as speakers is phenomenal. We have the likes of Cardano, Binance representatives here. We have the mayors, Polygon, anything and everything really that you could possibly think of from the technical aspect of blockchain and Web3. Now, this is just the speaking side. Of course, you've got attendees that are trying to get the loads of different awards going here for a multitude of different aspects of achievements and sectors and industries that these guys are within. And look at the headline partners: Binance, JC, I'm not sure about, Cardano Foundation, of course, huge. So when Verasity are going here, I don't know if they were up for any rewards. I couldn't quite see them listed anywhere, but at least being present at these kind of things is really important. And we'll go into that in the chart in a second to show you the kind of moves that I've had, because yes, there could be some news out in the next few days after events like this, through partnerships, through integrations, wherever it might be, or just generally, as I said, people in attendance having big influence in markets and things like that. So it's really important to really understand any events of the projects that you are invested in or have an interest in, right? And you will see the pattern. It happens all the time. So these are two really interesting pieces of information over the last few days, particularly this one. We've still got, as I said, a couple of days. So who knows, might see a bit more action in the charts as well. And on that topic, let's jump into the chart so I can show you exactly what I am going on about. Verasity is one of my favorite projects to follow. It's very much one of the few I have left in my portfolio that are like what I call like the small caps at the moment, or indeed altcoins that are outside of my sort of top 10, as it were, in ones that are influential in like digital tokenization and assets for like finance and things like this. So it's one that I hold dearly because I understand the marketing and advertising aspect significantly. I love what they're doing with the esports functionalities as well, particularly with VRA Views. The staking principles are really cool as well. But overall, I like the team as well. It's really developing and I can see a really good future for this one. That may not be reflective right now in the price point, but you can see obviously in the past, Verasity has had really good uptake in previous times throughout its cycle. Even back here, November 2021, we saw heights of a lot of the projects out there, nearly hitting 10 cents. So we're now only at, 2/10 of a cent right now. In terms of its price points. So there's loads of room for improvement to come. There's a great opportunity here to accumulate, to be able to stake with for the next couple of years or so, as we see the transformation and evolution of these kind of projects, and certainly the utility of those projects in the real world. And yesterday, as I said, the last 24 hours have been really good for Verasity, a 32% increase. It sounds a bit silly to be talking about going from 2/10 of a cent to 3/10 of a cent. But in that aspect, if you have got good volume or accumulation of this top token, then you're going to see some good returns yesterday. And that's obviously quite clear that people have been taking the profits yesterday in this kind of market that we have, people taking the opportunities as and when they can. For me personally, I don't trade Verasity or most of my tokens at this moment in time. I'm just looking to accumulate. But I still get really excited when I see some really good moves for other people who are holding and getting some good gains out of these projects. Okay, this is what it's about, building the community and having excitement for others, not just yourself. So I'm hoping that many people got some advantage out of yesterday, and if you didn't, no problem. It looks like we're tailing back down to try and accumulate some extra lower levels of this, and it just emphasizes the principle of what Verasity could be potentially about. It was coming into like the end of its sell-off swing anyway. You see here on the MACD, it was slowly just trying to narrow itself, but it's obviously accelerated in the last 24 hours because of the actions. The RSIs are showing 42 and 41 on the 14-day and the 28-day respectively. This is okay still as an accumulation point. Yesterday, it was been in that mid-range where I've probably been like, well, I don't really I tend to stay away from increased price assets as they happen. I'm more interested in the dips, to be honest, or waiting for some stabilizations. I never really just jump in on FOMO unless I knew something was happening preemptively. Unfortunately, in the last few days, I've been doing loads of different videos and work and stuff that I haven't had the attention of these events coming in, and it's actually a lesson or learning for me as well to be more astute with what events are coming up with all the different projects that are involved. And you could see clearly that if I did know, I probably could have had some advanced limit orders to say, well, actually, based on previous examples or previous other assets, this is the likelihood of a gain that could happen, and you could take advantages with some limit orders and things like this unless you're on the ball with it manually. Brilliant. I don't really have massive time to monitor these 24/7 as such, so this is where we are with Verasity. I'm just going to adjust a couple of other things here as well. So as we take down these lower regions of Verasity, I'm just going to pull this back down to more of a macro level. You can see right now we're entering that lower stage again, which is pretty understandable and something that was, well, going to happen anyway after such a move yesterday. But if I take this back down to some of the previous lower regions that we saw back here in 2020, the reason I've done this is because we also need to see the longevity of a chart. You can start seeing the balancing act of where we're seeing support and resistance. Okay, so if I just pull this across quite clearly, there was a bit of a barrier here. It couldn't quite make it up to 0.0034, but it certainly gave it a good go at the 3 on the nose. Okay, we've seen that retaliation. It's come back down, and probably anticipating really a bit of a bounce off at the 2.5 tenths of a cent. I don't even know if that makes sense or not, but you get what I mean. In terms of a move back down, so we have to just keep an eye on that really as to where that is coming towards. But I do anticipate this to be retaliating to the wins that people had yesterday and coming back down, because I do believe like the market is not finished. I think there's a good couple of months still of some further drops, so there are opportunities still, and I do actually have buy orders back down here at the very much on the nose of the 0.2%, 0.002 for those that are listening and not watching. I know there are many of you that do that, so welcome to the channel if you are listening. But yeah, it's just above. I just had the buy order just above. It sounds a bit silly to have that bit much of a reduction based on what it is, because the values are significant, but the values that I'm putting in, or the intake that I'm putting in from capital or spare USDC in this instance, is enough to warrant that kind of a mini drop. And as I said, I'm trying to get towards like maybe 1 million tokens of Verasity, because I do think from 2025 onwards this is going to be a top project. Whether it gets bought out by a big institution, who knows, but I know the channel and path that this is going down, and I think it's an absolutely exciting project and asset to be holding. You can see on the right hand side here, it's up on the week. I'm not going to pay too much attention to that because that is based around an event movement. I'm more interested at the moment in what's the long-term operation aspect here. We have 95% negative on the year, and year to date, roughly pretty much the same numbers really. And 6 months is showing 54. This can still come down a bit further, but it shows you a massive opportunity of gains here just to break even on the 0%, let alone the future gains beyond that. And we could even look back here in history as we're approaching these previous support lines, and always look at the data previously. February 2021 is roughly where we're matching here. Before this, we had lower regions, and above this you can see the huge gaps. So for me, this next couple of months is quite critical, and that's why I've got my lower buy orders, because if you look at these areas back down here slightly under the 0.2%, this is where we're going to see a lot of resistance as and when it comes back down to these areas. This is why it's important to understand the history of charts and where we are looking for support mechanisms. As I said, the next line above, just below that, in fact what I'm going to do is just draw it in for you so that you can see it more directly, just across here. As I said, this is probably one of the very lower regions that we could come and test, and that's not out of the equation at all, guys. So I'm going to leave that in there for future videos. We'll see if it comes in. I might put my money where my mouth is and actually move that order and bring it down here and just suck up the patience of waiting around for it. But for sure, that is one of the reasonings why. But my point before I mentioned that part was this movement upwards. It shows you a bit of an indication as to when we swing around. Eventually we will swing around from these bear and winter markets. You see a significant opportunity to get back to where it previously was. 3,000% guys gains from those bottom areas to the top. Now if we could anticipate and we look at these long-term fib retracement levels, I have a price prediction here of still 21 cents by the next bull run. I do believe that will happen between 2024 and 2025. It's going to be a long cycle, but arguably you could suggest that even from this market up to even at least 15 cents, this first fib retracement level is a good 5,000, nearly 6,000% increase. So that is why I'm accumulating at these areas. That's why I'm staking, because let the money do the work for you. Let yourself accumulate extra VRA tokens through the staking aspect whilst it's still running. Those are my final thoughts on Verasity, guys. Let us know what you think. As I said, keep an eye on this event movement as well in the next couple of days. Still more time to go. I'm not sure which exact days they are present there, but of course, something has definitely occurred in the last 24 hours. But we will catch up with Verasity over the next couple of days. If something significant happens, I might do a YouTube short at least to catch up on anything significant. But we will for sure review Verasity in about a week's time. See where we are in terms of plays. Guys, thanks for watching again. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel, and also we will see you in the next video of Verasity. Thanks so much for watching. Bye bye.